getting a trademark registration is just about filing a form and waiting for a fancy certificate to arrive in the mail, I have some slightly inconvenient news for you. Trademark applications get rejected all the time. And most of the time it's for reasons that are completely avoidable. Hi friends, I'm attorney Aiden Barton with 180 Law Co. Welcome back to All Up in Your Business. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 of the most common reasons that trademark applications get rejected and how you can avoid being one of them. Because if your brand matters to you, then you don't want to, gamble with it. First, while I am a lawyer, I am not your lawyer. The stuff I talk about in this video is not a substitute for actual legal advice. If you need help with a legal situation, you should consult with a lawyer. Now, let's get into it. Reason number 1, your trademark application might get rejected is because your trademark, your business name, whatever it is too descriptive. This is a really common issue that I see. A trademark can't just describe what it is you sell. The USPTO doesn't give monopolies over common language, generic terms. If your name tells people exactly what you do and what you sell, that's called a descriptive trademark. And descriptive trademarks usually can't get registered. A descriptive trademark might be like online marketing courses if you're selling online marketing courses, best vegan skincare if you're selling vegan skincare, or Atlanta real estate group if you're a real estate group in Atlanta. Those are descriptions. They're not trademarks. They're not brand identifiers. The USPTO wants to register names that function as a brand, not headlines, not descriptions. Some stronger categories for trademarks are fanciful trademarks. These are made up words. Or arbitrary trademarks. These are real words that are unrelated to the product or service that we're selling. Or suggestive trademarks, which are descriptive, but they require some imagination. If your trademark, your name, immediately answers the question, what is this? What am I buying? Then that's usually a red flag that it might be too descriptive. So to avoid that, you want to choose a name that feels like a brand, not just a category of stuff. If you're unsure about this, if your trademark is too descriptive, if it's not strong enough, if it might get rejected, that's something that I evaluate for clients all the time before I file applications for them. Filing a weak name just to see what happens isn't a good strategy. So I like to evaluate that, dig into the USPTO, really think about it before we move forward. Reason number 2, your trademark will get rejected is likelihood of confusion. This is one of those things that people underestimate, and it's usually the biggest one. It's the most difficult issue to deal with. Your trademark doesn't have to be identical to another trademark for it to get rejected. It just has to be confusingly similar. If consumers might see your trademark and another trademark side by side and reasonably think that the two brands are related, that can be enough for it to be confusingly similar and to get this likelihood of confusion rejection. Let's say your business, you're doing online courses teaching people how to organize their home. Digital online courses related to home organization. You search the USPTO or you're doing a Google search and you see another company that has an identical name or a really similar name, and they offer professional organization services. So they're not doing the online course thing. They're not teaching people how to do it. They're coming into houses and doing the thing for them. You think that's different. They're doing something different, but they're pretty closely related. We do the thing, we teach people how to do the thing. That's probably close enough for your trademark to get rejected. The legal standard that we deal with is likelihood of confusion, not exact copy. And so this is where a proper, thorough, comprehensive clearance search comes in and is incredibly important. A Google search usually isn't going to be good enough. Scrolling through Instagram and social media, not going to be good enough. Making sure your domain name is available, not good enough. Typing it into the USPTO search tool one time and looking for an identical match, not good enough. It's a real legal analysis, and one of the main reasons that people want to hire an attorney for this process, because identifying and assessing the risk associated with one trademark and another requires a lot of experienced knowledge into this whole thing. Reason number 3, your trademark might get rejected. You filed it under the wrong owner. You put the wrong owner on the application. This one really hurts because it's preventable. It shouldn't have happened. Your trademark needs to be owned by the company or the person that's actually using it in commerce. There's sometimes a little bit of wiggle room to this, but to make things simple, keep that in mind. The thing, the company, the person that's using the trademark should be the one to own the trademark. So is the owner of the trademark you personally? Are you operating as a sole proprietor? Is it your LLC? Have you formed an LLC or a corporation to operate this business? If that's the case, then usually it's the LLC or the corporation that should be the owner and the applicant on the trademark. If you file under the wrong owner, the application could be invalid. It could be void from the jump. And sometimes these mistakes, sometimes we can fix them, but sometimes we can't. And sometimes your application is dead in the water before it's even started. I've had clients come to me after the fact who have filed an application. The owner is named as an LLC, and the LLC doesn't exist yet. They had this idea to form an LLC, but the LLC doesn't exist. So this application is filed for an entity that doesn't exist. That kind of thing typically can't fix. And I've seen business owners lose time and a lot of money in filing fees because they listed the wrong entity or the wrong owner on the application. So this isn't something that you want to guess on. Make sure on the application you put the right owner. And if you're not sure who the owner is, consult with a lawyer. Reason number 4 your application and your trademark might get rejected is because your specimen isn't good enough. The specimen is something that we submit to the USPTO as proof that we are using the trademark in commerce. It's a real world example of how our trademark is used in connection with our goods and services. Some of the common issues that come up with specimens is if the trademark is just decorative. The USPTO calls this merely ornamental. It's not being used as a trademark, as a brand identifier. It's a decoration on your product. Or the trademark isn't clearly shown in association with the goods and services. The USPTO wants to see your trademark along with your goods and services. So with services, this is often your website where your trademark is at the top, your business name, your brand is at the top, and the rest of our website describes what we offer, what we're doing. If we're dealing with products, usually a website screenshot might work as well, but there needs to be a way to purchase the product. If the USPTO doesn't see how people can purchase this product, then the specimen might get rejected. And another one which always makes me want to pull my hair out when people come to me with this issue is that the trademark on the specimen doesn't match the trademark on the application. We've applied for a trademark that looks like this. The specimen needs to show that exact trademark being used. If there isn't consistency between the two, your application, the specimen is going to be rejected. Specimen refusals are incredibly common. Luckily, they are fixable typically, but they delay your registration and sometimes can result in additional fees and stuff. Finally, reason number 5 that your application and your trademark may get rejected is because your goods and services are a mess. This one's kind of sneaky because if you don't know already, trademarks don't protect names generally. Trademarks protect your name, your brand in connection with specific goods and services that we identify on the application. So if you pick the wrong class of goods and services, if you use the wrong descriptions for your goods and services, if you use a description that's too broad and not really accurate, or if you use language that's too vague or too specific, or you try to use a description that doesn't actually cover what you offer, you're probably going to get an office action saying that the USPTO doesn't want to register your trademark because the goods and services on your application don't match the goods and services on the specimen. This part of the application defines the legal scope of your trademark protection. There's strategy, a lot of strategy to it. If our description is too narrow, then we've limited ourselves. We've boxed ourselves in and limited the protection that we can get with this trademark registration. But if it's too broad or just inaccurate, then our application gets refused. So this is where understanding how the USPTO interprets these goods and services descriptions really comes into play. So here's the part that people don't really love hearing. Most trademark problems don't show up immediately. They show up months later in the process, after you've built your website, after you've launched your business, after you've invested in branding and invested money into this trademark application. And at that point, fixing it is going to be a lot more expensive than it would have been if we'd gone into this thing from the beginning with strategy and a good, sound legal plan. And sometimes we can't fix it at all. Sometimes it's just gone. So if you're watching this and thinking that you don't want to gamble with your brand, you don't want to take that risk of, ooh, am I doing it right? Is this going to go through? Then you're thinking the right way, and it's a good idea to get some help through this process. I, of course, can help you with that. I have a couple of options. I have a DIY trademark course called Brandish, where you can do it yourself, but with a little extra guidance and hand-holding by me. I walk you through step-by-step the entire process of how to make sure your application won't get rejected. So if you're gonna DIY it, at least do it with some strategy and some extra guidance. You can check out Brandish. I will link to that down in the description. And then of course, if you don't want to do it yourself, because like I said, it takes a lot of legal analysis, legal experience doing this thing, a lot of knowledge if you want to have a good, strong application that's going to get approved. If your brand is something that you want to grow and really invest money in, and you don't want to have to rebrand or deal with a rejection, then it's best to work with an attorney. And of course, I can help you with that. I have a complete done-for-you service where I do all of it. You just have to give me some info, meet with me once or twice, read the stuff that I give you. It's all generally for your information and for your benefit, but that's why I'm here, is to make the process as easy and seamless and as enjoyable as possible. So if you're interested in working with me, you can learn more about that at my website, 180lawco.com, and I'll link to all that in the description as well. So whether you DIY it or work with a professional, just don't ignore trademark protection if your brand is an important asset to you. That's all for this episode, folks. If you learned a thing or two, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this video. Of course, there's more information and resources down in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Aiden Barton, and I'll see you next time.